All right.
Okay.
So joining me today for a great interview are three lovely young ladies that I met at the March on Washington, where we stood in the hot, blistering sun for hours, and we became best friends ever since. We almost didn't march because Al Sharpton took the floor, and we was there for another 8 hours plus. So
Uh-huh.
uh, but we pushed each other and we made it through. So we have Miss Icyla Russel, who is an activist. She is also a student and a host of the Sis Let's Talk podcast. We have Tiffanie
What?
Foster, who is a motivational speaker and founder of the I Am Great movement. And we have Miss Crystal Alexis, who is the serial entrepreneur, internationally published model, a makeup artist, an actress, an activist, and philanthropist. And as she self titled herself, the HBIC. And then Tiffanie and Crystal host the Real Soul Speak podcast together. So, welcome, ladies. Welcome to Assent, Dissent. Our co host Sean is not here today because I wanted to do this interview on my own. So, I just want to put that out there.
It's so
Thank
fun.
you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When I tell
Yes.
everybody that these ladies, their energy and everything about them is just so awesome, y'all. Hopefully, y'all can feel some of it from today's interview. So, I got about one, two, three, about like seven really hard hitting questions. So, I wanted your guys' natural responses to them. That's why I said, don't worry about, researching or doing anything. But they're all stuff that you'll have the answer to. So, the first question is, what do you feel is the biggest threat that faces Black women today? And I'll start with Tiffanie, and then we'll go around.
The biggest threat. Um, wow. I think I would have to say being educated. Because when you're educated, people fear you. And so I've experienced this in like the corporate America, that when you are educated, they want to like kind of test you to see if you can handle certain situations, and they kind of fear you the most.
Okay.
Yeah,
Miss
that's what I got.
Crystal?
I feel that one of the biggest threats, I guess, is is society, like lack of understanding of who a black woman really is. Okay, because we the shit. Can I cuss on here?
Absolutely.
Okay. And so, like, I think people take for granted the black woman. Um, the black woman gives life, honey, in the physical form, mentally, physically. Like, we carry a lot, we hold a lot. Our the title of a black woman itself, it just holds weight, and I think it's a threat when society don't understand who we are, because then again, we're not protected as black women. When you love something, and if they really love black women in society, they will protect us better, they will respect us more. And when I say they, I'm not just talking about white people, I'm talking about black people too, because other black women and other black men don't even respect and protect black women. And so I just think it's society's views of us and the neglect to understand who we really are as a people. We powerful and we the shit.
Okay. All right, Miss Isola.
Wow. Okay, that was deep. I'm sorry. I was getting my life to that. But but for me, I think one of the biggest threats sometimes is literally us not knowing the power that we have. That is one of the biggest threats, is the unknowing of being a black woman, the power that we hold with our voices. Because so often times in society, we're always told to mellow down, to calm down, to speak with your inside voice, dress down. We have hips and curves, dress it down, because in this society you can't do that. But us not knowing that, because we've been taught to mellow it down, that holds us back, and that's a threat because we're not being our authentic selves. And when you're not being your authentic self, you're not reaching your full potential. You're not reaching your full purpose. So just the threat of that, not knowing the power that you have as a Black woman, that is the biggest threat I think we face. And I think now more than ever, us as Black women, especially the older generations and stuff, now that they're passing on and this younger generation is coming up, I think it's now our job to remove that unknown and start to instill in these younger Black girls and Black women that it's okay to be loud. It's okay to dress your curves. It's okay. So I definitely think the fear of the unknown is the biggest threat facing our Black women.
Wow, y'all gave me some juicy perspective on that. So the next question is, Isa, I'm actually going to start with you on this one, especially because I thought about you when I wrote this one, and I'll explain why. But have you ever experienced hate or shade from someone else in the Black community? And what do you think makes Black people so divisive? Now, when I thought about this, I had you and I had Frank on the mind because there's been a big discussion, which I think that we should have more of a discussion on in the Black community as a whole, on colorism and being more light skinned versus dark skinned. So that's why I said I thought about you when I wrote this question, and I want to give you the floor for the first response to it.
So I have had my experience when it comes to colorism. I can honestly say that I haven't experienced that because so, for me, I think, and I've been told, I fall somewhere in the middle. So I'm not the darker of the darkest complexions, which is still beautiful, and I'm not the lightest of the lightest complexion, which is still beautiful. So I've never had to face the colorism impact, but the racism is still there because at the end of the day, I'm still a Black woman. I'm still a Black girl. So I've experienced that, and really for me, because I haven't had the biggest work experience, but for me, it was in my school. It was really in my high schools where I had teachers, white teachers, who would put me in certain situations and they would ask certain questions, especially when it came down to like Black history. They would try to almost put me against other students to see how I would stand because they thought I didn't know my history. But one thing you don't do is try a Black girl who was raised in a Black church about Black history because I know my history. So it was that thing of always trying to prove myself. I don't know why, for some reason, as a Black student going to a school that's predominantly white, you just always have to prove yourself. So that's where I've experienced that. But the colorism, well, let me not say unfortunately, gratefully, I've never experienced that, but I know from others' experience what they've experienced, and it's horrible because it is a divide. It's one of the biggest divides that we have amongst ourselves in the Black community.
And what do you think makes us so divided against each other?
I think it's historically going back to the days when our great grandparents, when they were enslaved, and we had the paper bag test where lighter skinned slaves, if you were lighter than a paper bag, you got to work in the kitchen, and if you were darker than that paper bag, you had to stay on the field. So it's that
I
envy
heard that.
towards,
Lighter than a paper
yeah,
bag. Then you
yeah,
was
it's
a
a
house Negro if you was lighter than
yes,
paper.
yes.
Oh,
Yes,
me
Girl.
either.
it was a brown paper bag test that was administered to a lot of the slaves. If you were lighter than the paper bag, then you got to actually work in the house. Or if you were the offspring of a slave and a slave master, if you were one of their offspring, you immediately got to work in the house. So just having that divide is, I feel like it's carried over. And then here's just some coin for thought. Once we did finally get freed out of that, the Black community, when it in itself had an elite society of lighter skinned Negroes who would put themselves above the darker toned Negroes to make themselves feel higher in society. But at the same time, they weren't that high because you still couldn't get into these places that were for whites only. So it's always been a divide. Marking back history, it's always been a divide. And I don't think anybody's ever really mended it. I think now we're kind of working towards it, but even music videos, society, cultures, you could still see it's a divide. It's still something there between the two, but it marks back history.
Okay. Oh, I love that. Tiffany, how about you?
Okay. Have I ever experienced shade? I would have to say in the workplace, and I don't know if this would actually go into what we're discussing, but just tell me if it is. Because when you said that, the first thing I thought about was when I started working at this job. I could not afford clothes, right? And so this black woman, she comes up to me and she says, "You got that on? Like we ain't supposed to wear like that." And she was dark skinned and she carried herself like she was better than me. And although that could be some type of colorism, it could have just been like, "Girl, get it together." But I looked at it like, Dak, she thought she was better than me. But
Mhm.
that's like really, if that's anything, that's the only experience I've ever faced with that. But like what Icyla said, down history, you hear the light skin, all light skins in, dark skins in, all black of the berry, sweet of the juice, and oh, you got them light skin eyes, so we are automatically it's embedded in our minds to even just think about light skin and dark skin and so on and so forth. But yeah, I've never also have experienced the colorism in my culture.
All right, Miss Crystal.
Honey,
So
yes, I've experienced it. I've experienced it from Black people saying that I was not Black enough or that I talk white or why am I hanging around a certain group of people because that's not a good look for me. I've seen white people tell me I'm not physically, but I act too Black. I'm too
Mm,
loud. I'm too outspoken. I'm too always too something and not enough of something else. Even, with
Mhm.
vitiligo, you see people say, like the darker skinned people that have vitiligo say, "Oh, you got it easier because you light skinned, so you can't really tell." Who the hell can't tell that my hair is white? Okay, and I got white circles around my eyes like a raccoon. Who can't tell that? So they think because they're darker and it's more contrast that it's harder for them than it is for somebody that's light skinned. I think it's just bull, man. It's bull. But I also humanity by nature, we have this thing where we categorize everything. If you go into the grocery store, everything is categorized: produce, clothing, cereal, everything. If you buy concert tickets, it's categorized by status. If you are higher status and you pay more price for the ticket, you're closer to the bottom. If you ain't got no money and you're lower status, you up in the nosebleed. So everything in life is categorized. It doesn't matter, and people are no different. So people are gonna categorize you because when people can put you in a category, it releases them of the obligation that they should have to get to know you as an individual rather than, oh, Brandon light skin, so he probably think he all that. By the way, he probably soft and he can't fight. They put you in a category because that's easier for them to group you, so they don't have to take the time to get to know you for who you are.
ooh, amen. Amen, my sister. So, all right. So now we're gonna I'm gonna start with you, Crystal, because we're gonna take go to the next level of questions. What are your feelings on black gay men, and do you believe that black people's view on homosexuality will ever change?
I love black gay men. I love white gay men. I love black and white gay women. I like gay dogs. I love people who are who they are. Okay? It doesn't matter who or what that is. If you are you and you're proud of that, you know what I'm saying? And you stand for that and you believe in something and you're just being who you genuinely are, then I absolutely love that. Sis, bro, whatever, do your thing. Do I think that views will ever change? I think that over the years, it has become evident that gradually gays, and just not just gays, but just people that are outside of society's norm, I think it has been becoming more accepted. But um, I think that people have to stop pointing the finger because they want to say, oh, well, that's a sin. Okay, well, what about you backsliding? And what about you having 17 kids before you ever got married and you're still not married? What about you gossiping? And what about you stealing and everything else that you're doing? What about you lying on your tax? Like, it's all these things. And again, people want to point the finger because they feel like your sin is not acceptable because it's not what they're doing. But people will find a way to make whatever their sin is acceptable. I say that we are all sinners, and it don't matter what I do that's different from what you do. It doesn't matter, but people have to learn to accept people for who they are. Do I think that the world will just up and one day just start accepting people? No. I think that it's going to be gradual, and it's going to take for us to have conversations like this out in the open. We're not sweeping nothing under the rug no more. We're not talking about it in the privacy of our own homes no more. No, we're going to be out loud about who we are. We're not going nowhere.
Right.
And so you need to figure out, because that's your problem if you don't like me, because I'm gay. You need to figure out why it bothers you that I'm gay. And I'm saying not me, I'm just saying, people need to figure out what is so bothersome to them about somebody else's life. You don't have anything to do with anybody else's life. You need to focus on yourself. And I think if people started focusing on self and changing self, then we would get over all these little nitpicky things that we pick out about that's wrong with other people.
Okay. Icyla, your turn.
Love my gays. I love them. I just, oh, y'all make life just so much more colorful, so much more spontaneous. It's like it's something about your spirit, and I feel like it's a fighter spirit because a lot of the times the gays, you guys have to overcome so much. There's so much fight you guys have in you because, especially specifically Black gay men, not only do you have that fight of being gay against your own community, you have it against the masses. And that's something that takes strength. It takes a certain level of humbleness because you have to humble yourself in a lot of ways to be able to fight that fight. So I I, I love y'all, and as a community, what's it gonna take? Having the conversation, like Crystal said, having that open dialogue, acceptance to know that we're all flawed, but that doesn't make us any less worthy. And with that, we all have some type of flaw in us, but that doesn't make us less worthy than the next person. So once we get out of ourselves and let that pridefulness go, and we have to, it all ties back to history. We got to let that go. And I'm not saying let go of what happened in history, but the pieces that are keeping us emancipated by the hypological chains. And I'm not talking about the physical ones, but the ones that keep us separated. And being gay in the Black community is one of them because it's another thing that's just dividing us in a time where we do not need to be divided. Because it's bad enough you fight one fight. You don't need to fight this fight. This is when we as Black people should be like, come, my brother, come as you are. Because we have bigger things to do. We have a bigger fight to fight.
Period. Period. Tiff, yeah, Tiffany, it is your turn. I'm sorry. Look, I'm trying to keep my rotation going,
No, it's
and I
okay.
wrote down your name to go next. Go ahead, Tiff.
Okay. So can you restate the question, please?
What are your feelings on Black gay men, and do you believe that Black people's view on homosexuality will ever change?
Okay, so I absolutely love my Black gay men. Like I just love that community. They're so free, you know. My best friend is gay, and he really showed me like what it means to just be free and to live and not to worry about what other people think. And it could be a personal thing, but you know, when you're in that community, you know, you like Isola and Crystal both said, you know, you got to overcome so many different obstacles. And so by overcoming those obstacles, man, you're like, hey, what's up? This is who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm being my true authentic self. And for anyone that can do that and live life without conditions and just be free, I got much respect for them. As far as the Black community accepting it, and it's definitely what Crystal said. You know, you got to have those conversations. People got to be open minded. And I know this is random, but like P Valley, the the show, it actually really brought that into perspective, because you know, it's like, yo, there's so many people dealing with these things and they're so afraid to come out because of what society says. And so I just hope that, you know, it's starting to be a norm though. So in due time, I do believe that the community will be able to have these conversations and be more acceptance of the gay community.
Okay. So I love your answer, by the way. Crystal spoke earlier on my next question, and I was happy that she didn't go too much into detail. But Tiffany, I'm gonna start with you. So Malcolm
Okay.
X once
Oh,
said, right. Malcolm X once said that the black woman is the most unprotected and most disrespected person in America. Now it's about to take a left turn. Do you feel that black men specifically do a good job protecting and do enough to show respect to black women?
Hey, let's go left. Phew.
I
Um,
told you it was gonna take
Listen,
a
I
hard
mean,
left.
you know what? I seen so I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, and so they had this thing for Breonna Taylor at the Capitol. And so Common spoke and he was like the rap artist, and he was like, protect her. You know, and so everybody was like, yeah, protect her, right? So now I'm like, yeah, y'all better protect me, you know. And so now, like, I had a situation that happened, and I guess I just felt like I wasn't protected, and I put it on social media. So it was these group of guys, they black guys, and I know color has nothing to do, but just in this situation, okay? So it was a group of black guys. They were like 2 feet behind me, and they did not hold the door for me. And so
Mm,
that could have probably been based off of how they were raised. But for me, I put them in a category because I was so used to hearing the world say, protect her, even like treat her like a queen, even if you don't know her, you know. And so some guys do fall short of that phrase, protect her. But there are other men out there that do. Where you at, bruh? But yeah, you know, so yeah, I do feel like it does, we need some growing to do, because I don't know, man, it kind of like I don't know. I think everybody in it for themselves right now. 2020 crazy.
oh, okay, beyond crazy. Tiffany, or not Tiffany, Crystal, your turn.
Uh, so yeah, I don't think that the mass majority of black men do a good job of protecting black women. That's their sisters, that's their girlfriends, that's even their mama, the chick that they fell out of. They don't even protect her. And when I say when I for example, you know, we should not have to be put in places where our livelihood is threatened, where our lives are threatened, where our jobs are threatened. If you got a single mother at home, like go home, young boys, do the dishes, act right in school. It starts. It's even young. Even the young boys I'm seeing too are like it's like the women these days are treating their sons as if they're men, and without them taking on the responsibility of being a man. If you want to be the man of the house, you're gonna cook, you're gonna clean, you're gonna work, you're gonna go out there, you're gonna cut that grass, you're gonna cut the neighbor's grass, and you're gonna do some other stuff. You know, I think that oh my gosh, it's such a loaded question. Uh I don't, to answer the question, no, I do not think that black men are doing a good job of protecting black women. And I'll leave it at that.
I you were who I had on my mind when I answered that when I wrote this question, Crystal. Icyla, what's your response?
I agree with my sisters. They, the mass majority, they do not protect us. They just don't, and it's sad because you would think you would think that these would be the first ones, at bat for us,
Mm,
but it's not, and it's heartbreaking when you see them going to bat for the next for the white woman, I'm gonna just put it like that. When you see them going to bat for the white woman, when you see that this black man, when he was coming up, he had a black woman next to him, but now that you've made it
Oh
and you're
Lord.
doing things with your life,
Oh
it's
girl,
funny, you
preach,
trade her out for a white woman, or you know.
girl.
So when we talk about respecting black women, it's so many. Oh my gosh, like Crystal said, it's a loaded question. It's so many different levels, shades of what respect is and how they show it. But even down to what Tiff said, just the basic things of, holding a door open, addressing me and not calling me a B word, what happened to, opening my doors, just simple things like this that you would think, are simple, they black men, they just don't do it no more. They don't, it's like the respect isn't there. And I do think it has a lot to do with what Crystal said. They're not being raised. They're literally being thrown into it. Like Crystal said, you have women that are treating their sons like their man instead of their child.
Mm-hmm.
So
So I'm glad, Icyla, that you kind of spoke on this for the next question. And Crystal, I'm gonna let you start on this one because we kind of touched on this at the march. What do you think causes black men to gravitate to white women? And what are your thoughts on interracial relationships as a whole?
So the thing that I think that causes black men to gravitate towards white women and any other race and nationality outside of black, because that's what they do. They Asian, Mexican, Chinese, Spanish, and white. It's because they're easier. They don't have to man up and really be a man for real because they know that a sister is not gonna go for certain things. They know that a sister is gonna question them. They know that a sister supposedly have this attitude, but how can I not have an attitude because you left for work with your homeboys, you didn't come back to the next day. I cooked dinner for you.
Mm.
You
Mm.
didn't even have the decency to listen. Yeah, that was a true story. So that came out. But
had to
Girl.
get off your
You get me in
chest.
my feelings,
Have to
sis. You get me in my feelings. Look.
I just think that they're easy. And that's not what I think actually. That's what I hear from other black men. And I hear them say, even petty stuff like, oh, I want pretty kids. Or yeah, I just
Mm.
wrote me off a nurse, a bunny. And I'm like, so you think that black women can't be successful? You think that black women can't have pretty kids? So I just feel like they're easier for a man to slide by and live beneath his standards of being what a man should be. Do you said do I agree with interracial
Just
relationships?
what are your thoughts on it in general?
My thoughts on interracial relationships is that you are free to love and hunch and have little niglet babies with whoever you want to have little niglet babies with. But interracial relationships is not for me. I just feel like when I'm dealing with certain things that are very black issues, I feel like other races can't understand that. And I ain't got time to sit and put you through no Black History class. I just don't. Whatever you do, that's your business. I ain't paying any of your bills. That's your business. But for me, no, I can't do it. Yeah. Mm-mm.
Now I wanted to comment on how you said like some black men to say like, oh, I got me a nurse and all that stuff. Like speaking as someone who used to be a nurse before I became a physician assistant, I'm gonna say this, but do you really think like a nurse is the cream of the crop? Like I'm not trying to belittle nurses, but there's black lawyers, there are black doctors, there are black educators, there are, hell, the black woman at the gas station get more respect for me for having an honest job than this white nurse. Um, so that's what I had to say on that. And now, because we didn't get to really finish our conversation on the issue, but I feel like you basically said what my response would be. That when it comes to interracial dating, I love to quote my homegirl, my best friend in my mind, Nene Leakes, honey. It don't make it wrong it just make it ain't my thing, honey. I don't want no white dick, running around with me. And that's just the end of that. And not only that, I feel like you can't, I don't understand why anybody will willingly date their oppressors, but that's another topic for another time.
Now,
Oh Lord.
Brandon, I'll play. Well, I have played. Let me say that. And we're talking about over 10 years. I have played um with other races and other nationalities. But I just, yeah, it's a no for me, dog.
Okay. Iceland, your turn.
Can you repeat the question again? Just
Mhm. What do
let
you
me
think
try.
causes what do you think causes black men to gravitate toward white women? And what are your thoughts on interracial dating or relationships?
Okay. Okay, so I think personally, I think that they can't it's a certain level of control that they can't have with a black woman. When black women have a certain level of independence that they carry. And a lot of men, specifically from my experience, black men do not like that. They don't like that sense of independence because it almost makes them feel like that they feel like they're not needed, but I feel like that's their own insecurity. That's very much their own insecurity because when you have an independent woman, there is something so magical and so amazing about an independent woman. And if you have one, keep her. Something that's so amazing about an independent black woman. Men don't like that because it's a control variable that you no longer have with an independent woman, because the independent woman knows she don't need you. She don't need you when it comes down to certain things. You really know that she's here because she loves you, because she wants to be here with you. And when you take that control variable out of the equation, a lot of men they don't know, what am I going to do with her? She don't need me for this. She don't need me. The only thing she need me for is love. But sometimes with men, when the love is gone for a lot of them, or when it's only a sexual thing and they can no longer keep you here by financial needs, a black woman on step, listen, you're not giving me the love I need. You're not giving me, the emotional that I need. And I could get the physical, I could get the material for myself. So I'm gone. A lot of men can't handle that. So that's really my um interracial dating. It's a no for me, Ozzy. I don't prefer. I prefer me a chocolate man, if I do say so myself.
Okay.
My
Okay.
daddy's black, my uncle's black. I want a black son, black kid, like blackety blackety black. That's what I want. I do not. You know, if you want to, if you like your white chocolate, go ahead, do you, sis. More power to you. But for me, it's a no. Interracial dating. Hey, I feel like almost a hypocrite if I say I'm against it and I don't say like I'm against, like it's that type of thing. If I say, oh, you're black, you can't do this, you can't do that. Date who you want to date, but at the end of the day, as a black man, if you're going to interracial date, make sure you still have respect for that same black woman who birthed you, the same black women that are in your life, your black sister, the black woman across the street. Make sure you maintain that level of respect, even though you are in that interracial relationship. Because at the end of the day, no matter how many white folks you're around, at the end of that black person in the room, you're still black. You're never going to be them. So maintain your respect while you're, you know, entanglement, whatever you have.
Okay. Now before I go to Tiffany, I did want to comment on the something you said, Icyla, about how when the love is lost and black women generally only need uh the men for love. I just wanted to be fair and play a little bit of devil's advocate and say, like, a lot of that of how black men not knowing how to give that love is because of how we condition them condition us, I say, because I'm a black man.
Mm-hmm.
How we condition us to be hard, don't smile in pictures,
Mm-hmm.
you don't be soft, don't cry, don't do, which is you're robbing them of being able to give and receive love, which is, I think, also plays a part into the bigger picture of that. But Tiffany, what about you?
Oh my gosh, these ladies have taken the words completely out of my mouth. Like, I concur with both Crystal and Isla's responses. So I really don't have nothing for that because that's exactly like I agree with them. on that. But as far as the interracial dating part, I've never dated outside of my race. I mean, it ain't like where I'm gonna look, you know what I'm saying? I ain't out there looking and be like, I wonder what white chocolate can do for me today. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, love is love. So I just want to be treated with respect. I'm not like I don't know. I would be totally open to any type of race. I have just come from a marriage with a black man and I have experienced that. And I seen that side, and I don't want to raise nobody else's son. So and not saying that all black men need to be raised because they mamas lack.
Exactly my next question, because I got a damn good daddy. Okay, but go ahead.
You do have a great father, like, and I have a great dad as well. So those, just the one that I was with had fallen short. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have interracial all in my family. Now, I don't know. I just have to see. I gotta see if they got game, they got swag. Can they put up with me? Can you put up with me? Like, for real. And not put up, but like, do you want to love me? Like, do you, because when I was in a relationship, the black man who I was married to was intimidated by my status. He did not know how to play the background of my success. And so because of that, it really like shifted our relationship. And so now I'm in a season or a entanglement may come about it, but I'm kind of there where I'm not looking at color. I'm saying, what can you provide for me? What can you do? Can you take me to the next level? I mean, what can you do? You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to get.
Do you feel like another race would be able to protect you as a black woman? If y'all was to go in the hood or stop by the corner store and
Yeah.
somebody ran up on y'all, do you feel like another race is gonna have your back
No,
and
I
protect
don't. I don't.
Okay, so
So
that
there's
might not be your route, sis.
yeah. It might not be. I mean, I could recalculate, Chris. Let me recalculate, okay? My GPS was
Oh
taking me, and
Lord.
we gonna recalculate. Sorry, y'all. We've been so okay. Let me retract my statement. And then I
You don't
never
have
said
to.
it.
I'm just
No, I'm
giving
not.
you
But you
something to
made
think
it.
about.
But I
I'm just
know, like, it makes sense. But I've never had the opportunity to date outside of my race. Now, what I don't know. I just don't know is where I'm at now. I can't see myself marrying. Outside of my race. But I mean, dating. I mean, I'll probably what.
finish. I'm gonna talk. That's what the finger man. I'm gonna talk when you get done.
But I felt like you had something to interject. So anyway, so yeah, I mean, yeah, that part. Yes, Crystal. I'm
Come on,
sorry,
Tiffany
Chris.
said
Crystal.
she's done.
Ask her question. Sheesh.
So I'm hearing you say that you don't think that you would marry outside of your race, but you would absolutely, you're open to dating outside of your race. But what is your idea of what is the track? Like you go from dating to what? Isn't it dating then to marriage?
Not for
Don't
me.
you date to marry?
Well, it depends on what life, where you at in your life. Like, if you're just dating people, I mean, you can have friends. I mean, I can have a friend. I went on a date with this guy. It was cool. I tested it out, but I don't want to marry him. You know what I'm saying?
So you
So I'm
basically
not.
just trying to have fun right now.
I
You're just
mean,
trying to
I
have a little
have
bit of
fun.
fun.
I mean,
Okay.
just what I
Having
mean, I
fun
gotta date
dating is
somebody, and then
two
the next step,
different
I'm going to get married to him. Like, after we date for such a time, now
No,
it's like,
she's
oh,
saying what she's saying is if you're gonna be open enough to date them, that the door should kind of be open to
and it
getting
could,
married
yeah,
because you could
Marriage.
fall in love. That's what she's saying.
right.
But I
Yeah.
agree with what you're saying as well. You don't have to date to. I mean, maybe you want to
Get
just have a
married.
little FWB, friend with bennies,
That's what
as
that
You know,
we
means.
those
say.
are great as
but
well.
that's not dating to me. To me, the
Right.
natural progression of dating is you date to get to marriage. For me,
That's just her little friend. It's just an entanglement, right?
Icyla, you also spoke on this earlier, and it's your turn to have the lead. So, whenever a woman in general is independent, accomplished, and successful, the patriarchal society of America often tries to label her as overly ambitious, and she can even be called a bitch at times. Like as you see how they're attacking Kamala, excuse me, Harris. Um, speaking specifically to Black women, the common stereotype is that they are baby mamas with bad attitudes, and that's just a generalized stereotype. Yet men expect to be rewarded for doing something as common as taking out the trash. Is it
Mm.
society's responsibility to change this view of women, or is it up to women to change the picture in which they are painted?
I think it's a little bit of both. It's definitely a little bit of both. As women, we have to also change the dialogue because I mean I'm guilty of it too. You know, I'll see a video of Miss Mulatto or a lot of these video vixens who are doing the stereotypical black girl thing, who are being some people call it ratchet, shaking, doing all that on social media. And I've done it too, but I don't think just because I have a moment of that should overtake or um should like erase everything, all the good that I've done, or all the stuff that all the accolades that I had because I had that moment. I feel like so often Black women, we have to choose to be one or the other. We can never be both. We either have to be serious and on this educational path or this professional path, or you have to be or you're the party girl, you're the socialite. We could never be both and then you know and take up this space at the same time. It's always us having to choose one or the other. And I feel like as a society, we have as a society, we have to change that. We have to make it okay for Black women to be both and be okay with that. And as a Black woman, we have to say it's okay. Listen, you're not going to make me feel bad because I want to party on Saturday and be in the office on Monday. You're not going to make me feel bad because that's what I want to do. I'm still taking care of my stuff. I have all my degrees. My kids are taken care of. My man is happy, and I'm still living my best life. So
Bars.
to answer the question, it's both. We both have to make a change and be more acceptable to it.
Tiffany.
Wow, Icyla. Come on.
Okay.
So,
I
so
wasn't expecting that one.
you got to know your audience. You got to know who you talking to. This sister right here is incredible.
Okay.
Yes, I definitely feel that way. It's been times like that I struggled even on my own trying to like I want to like even like with social media. You want to post something, but then you like, I can't post it because they view me this way. So if I post this, then they're gonna think that I'm obnoxious or something, and it wasn't up until 2020 where I finally started living into like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna be bold. I'm gonna post something. If I want to post a half naked picture and just show all of my curvaceousness and my canvas of vitiligo art on my body, I will do that. But at first I would never do that because I was so afraid of what society had deemed it as. Oh, you showing your body. Oh, you ain't supposed to show your body. So I mean I'm with you on that, Icyla, and yeah, it's just it's everybody gotta adjust.
Okay. Miss Crystal, I saw your face when I asked the question, so I'm ready to hear this response.
So definitely agree that both society and us women have to do our work. But I think that society only changes when we change.
Yes, great
And what
point.
I mean by that is, I say this all the time to Tiff. Um, you can't just let people do and say anything that they want to do and say. You have to teach people how to treat you, what is acceptable and what is not. And when you call out your own stuff, that don't leave society nothing to talk about. When I go out there and I'm nude and y'all call me, y'all say I'm thirsty, and I'm like, I ain't thirsty, I just like to be naked. Like, what's the problem? Or if somebody try to read me and I read them right back, or if you, and I'm not saying put all your business out there, but if you put yourself out there as if there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing, there's nothing wrong with me being naked. I came in this world like that. Okay. God made us like that. And the only reason that Adam and Eve had clothing on is because they first sinned. Nakedness was okay.
Yeah.
It the ones that have the corrupt minds that are not okay with me being naked. So again, that's a you problem, sweetie. That's not a me problem. So if I put something out there and I know that I'm doing it I don't even know what you want to say, but not out of no ill will. I'm not trying to be, malicious. I'm not trying to be raunchy. This is just what I do, and I'm just being me. You have no choice but to be okay with that. And so once we individually become okay with it within ourselves, that will exude to
Yeah.
society, and society will have no
Wow, yeah,
choice but to
Yeah.
accept who we are because we ain't changing.
exactly.
Mm.
Period.
So, Crystal, so pretty much like you gotta love yourself, and once you love yourself, it forces other people to like love you and accept you for who you are.
You have to love yourself and you have to be unbothered by the criticism that is going to
Hmm.
come along with that, because a lot of criticism comes along with loving who you are,
Yeah.
because you're different. People want normal, but normal is boring. Why would you want to be normal? That's so stupid. So when you're anything outside of what people want you to be, then there's something wrong with you. So yeah, you have to love yourself, but in addition to that, you have to be prepared mentally to be able to take whatever is thrown at you as, as a result of loving yourself. Yeah, yeah.
Period. Um, so this is the final question, and I designed this one for Tiffanie. So Tiffanie, you're gonna take the lead. Some people again view black women as having negative attitudes, and some people, like myself, view black women in the highest regard. What is the message that you would like to leave for all the black girls and struggling black women that need encouragement in today's society?
What? You thought about me on that? I don't know how. So what I would say, what I oh my gosh, that question right there is what I wish we could just like just post this question and just post it so it can go viral. Is to let young ladies and women know that you are great. Because that's what I'm gonna say. It took me a long time for me to like love who I was and love the skin that I'm in. But now that I love who I am, my goodness, it's something about loving yourself and being true to who you are that will take you to levels that you can't even see. And you gotta love yourself, because if you don't love you, don't expect nobody else to love you. So even if you're trying to show your skin to get loved, that's not gonna work if you're not good within. So I would encourage ladies to just keep looking at yourself in the mirror and say, I am great, I am beautiful, I got it going on. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta walk the walk, even when you don't feel like you are amazing. Or if you're having an off day, don't let them see you having an off day. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I have my off days, and I do that on my private time, but I live into that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to live in that moment of having an off day. But as far as like society seeing you, yes, be vulnerable, but still hold yourself with pride and dignity, so that when it's go time, can't nobody stop you.
Mm. Miss Crystal.
Oh man. Listen, young ladies, old ladies, middle cougars, and everything in between, honey. I will say love yourself and be exactly who you are, because who you are and what you are, it's enough. The people that don't like you, guess what? They ain't gonna like you regardless. So do what you do, because only you can do that like you do it, honey. Only you can do it like you do it. Don't let people's attitudes, don't let the way people treat you, don't let the way people look at you and talk about you, don't let that affect who you are. Because then guess what? You become one of them. And you don't want to be one of them, because I talk about one of them. I be like, oh, she one of them. You don't want to be one of them. So you be exactly who you are, and you know that that is enough. and
Yeah.
you have integrity and you have dignity about yourself, and you use that and your authenticity, and that will take you farther than any skill, any trade, any job, just you being you. People love authenticity, and people will love you for exactly who you are.
Mm. All right, Icyla, you got a tough one. You got some tough responses. You gotta take this one.
Oh God.
Take it for the team.
Wow. What I would say to all my beautiful melanated queens is to never dim your light to make others shine bright, shine more than you. Because for one, God made all the stars in the solar system and he made them big enough so that they could each shine at their own capacity and in their own capacity. So never dim yourself down to be less than what you are. God made you exactly who you are because he knew that you needed to be here and that you serve the purpose here. Remember that your purpose is your purpose. Doesn't know no one else has it but you. When they call you loud and they say that you're being hostile, remind them that it's not hostility, it's passion. Remind them that you are who you are and stand boldly in who you are. Because when you stand boldly in who you are, can't nobody else tell you who you are. Take it from a girl who's been molded into what everybody else wanted her to be, but now she's taking her voice back and she's learning how to be her.
Yes.
Don't wait till you get older to do it. Do it from a young age. And if you are a Black woman who has a younger generation underneath them and you have nieces and nephews and godchildren who look up to you, make sure you're feeding those girls affirmations. Make sure you're letting them know that they're worthy, that they're important, that they're powerful, and that they matter. And remind them that when somebody is cutting them off, remind them, I am speaking and you better work, honey.
Yes. You not gonna cite your sources? No.
Okay, period.
Look,
Kamala Harris 2020, honey.
look, when you said I'm speaking, I was like, what's she speaking about? No, I'm just kidding.
You gotta remind them because they
Yeah.
will try to cut you off as soon as they get an inch in the door. They will try to cut you off and they will try to take your voice. But when they do that, remind you, I am speaking, and let them know your voice matters.
All right, so you ladies go around and tell everybody how they can follow your shows, where to support you, and all of that stuff.
Okay, well, this is the Crystal Alexis plus model MUA on Instagram. And I am also co-creator of Real Souls with an S Speak. You can find us on all social media platforms. Real Souls Speak. Instagram is real.souls.speak.
All right, Tiff or Icyla, whoever want to go first.
I'll go. So this is Tiffanie Foster, the founder of the I Am Great movement. And so on Instagram and on Facebook, you can find me at I Am Great Movement. And bam, that is who ITI is, y'all. What up?
She's so goofy, y'all.
Follow me. I need followers. I ain't at 2,000 yet. Can I get one more?
Just
Ah!
one more.
Oh, Lord, one more.
You such a hustler at
Oh
spirit,
my
sis, and I
gosh.
love it. Icyla, come on with it.
Never, never a dull moment. What's poppin', y'all? It's your girl, Icyla Marlene. And you can follow me on Instagram at Icyla Marlene. You can follow me on Facebook at Icyla Russel. I do host the podcast, Sis Let's Talk. And we are on all social media platforms at Sis Let's Talk. On Instagram, you can find us at sis.lets.talk. And you can hear us on Spotify and all viewing platforms where podcasts are heard, iTunes, Google Podcasts. We have a visual podcast that uploads on Tuesdays every Thursday. Never miss us. Every Thursday is a visual. But if you don't have time to sit down and watch, we got you too, because we got the audio for you. So make sure you guys tune in and send some love over.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies, for the interview.
Thank you, Brandon.